Yes.
Okay.
Good morning. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Cape Coral Charter School Governing Board to order. It is Tuesday, April 12th, 2016. It is approximately 9:03, and if we will all stand for the invocation. And we will just have a moment of silence. Thank you. And now the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Roll call, please.
Boyer is excused. Cosden.
Here.
Donaldson.
Present.
Fisher.
Here.
Jackson will be late. Kepke. Lucas Ross. Winstead.
Here.
Zivkovic.
Very good. And at this time, I'd like to take courtesy to welcome our three new board members. So welcome to your first meeting.
Thank you.
This is good. Okay. Approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second? Anybody? Very good. Any discussion? Okay, the minutes, vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? Hearing none. Do we have a motion to approve? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, very good. And our superintendent will now give his report. I'm tired from reading just the emails.
Sorry. Yeah, I know there's been a litany of them, and I do want to start off by welcoming those people that have taken the time to volunteer and work to get where they are on the board. We do appreciate it because it is a lot, as you see, and just those emails are some indication of what you're facing. So we do appreciate it. It means a lot to the 3,000 plus students and 400 plus staff that we have that you all are here. So again, thank you so much. My report today, and probably will make some people happy, will be a little bit abbreviated as we have a budget workshop convening right after this meeting. The good news is we are now able to stay in this room, so we won't need to have to move. So we'll take about a 20-minute recess when we're done, and then we'll head back in here to finish. The first thing I've got is you've gotten emails received about this, but I wanted to make sure you had important dates noted if you're able to attend for the Advanced Ed visit. As you know, it's Sunday, May 1st through Wednesday, May 4th. And the important dates for you all are Monday, May 2nd from 11 to noon. That would be an interview that they would be doing with you. They're going to be in groups of 2 or 3, and 1 or 2 of the reviewers will be interviewing you. I've given you some sample type questions, but understand they are free to ask anything they want to, whatever may be on the agenda. They do know, for those of you that are new, they do understand that you are new to the board, so we've already had that conversation. And then most importantly, Wednesday, May 4th at 2 p.m. In this same chamber, we will be getting an exit report. That's where after, that's where after this 4 days of review and they look at everything, all of our evidence and all the things that we say we do, that is where they'll actually be saying, okay, this is the recommendation, we're going to go back to Advanced Ed and whether we'll be accredited or not. So it'll be a very important time. And we'll get that here. It will be live as well. We're going to, have it on television so people can see. It's important, as this process is important because we do need to uncover those things that we need to work on. And so I think we've done a pretty good job of starting that process. But again, having experts in here to help us will be helpful. Margaret Krim will be here a little bit later, or somebody from her department in the audit area, talking about the audit that will be happening. One thing that I'm happy to report, we're going to go through a full audit, which means both our general fund and our internal funds will be audited. The general fund, I'll leave up to Margaret or whoever as a representative that might be here to talk about it. But on the internal funds, starting in the next couple of weeks, we'll be starting an internal audit procedure process. We have 2 people that will be assigned. And they'll be going through just making sure that what we do is meeting the best accounting practices that are out there. And that, when we talk about internal funds, that's the cash and the things that are handled in the school accounts, what happens at the school home, not the general fund, the big one. So I'm confident that we'll be fine. It's not a witch hunt or anything like that whatsoever. It's more of a process, just like Advanced Ed. It's more about making sure what we say we do, or at least the rules that we have in place, are being upheld. So we're excited to have them there. And otherwise, I would be remiss, and I don't see Chris Porter here yet, but with the foundation, I did want to mention the Lighthouse Award meeting, or the Lighthouse Award coming up. You should have received, and if you did not, because some of you are new, you should have received an invitation to that. So I just wanted to remind you, if you are able to go, that would be on Friday, the 22nd of April. If you did not get, please just let me know, because she got some things returned back. So I want to make sure you knew about that date on the 22nd. She may show anyway, but wanted to talk. The field is still ongoing. We have the grass looking pretty good, but one of the problems we have is as it rains, some of the rocks are still coming up. It's just the nature of what's happened. Some groups are using it around the perimeter, at least doing a little bit of running. So we're still working on it. It's just a matter of getting those rocks picked up. I have to commend the football team because they've been out there actually picking up rocks. I know Mr. Baldwin and the athletic director actually went out one day and were spray painting and marking and pulling rocks up as well. So that hasn't been forgotten, and we're still working on it. So, and at this point, that's the conclusion of my superintendent's report, unless you have any questions.
Okay, thank you so much. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. The internal funds, is that going to include the PTO funds?
No, at this point, it's not going to be PTO or SAC. At this point, it doesn't mean that it's not on the table, and that's something we can look at down the road, but since they're quasi-private, we're going to have to do something different for that. Okay. Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Chairman report, when Amy comes, perhaps she'll have one. Foundation report, Chris isn't here. So we already mentioned April 22nd is our Lighthouse Awards, and it is at the yacht club? At the yacht club at what time?
I think it's 6 o'clock, but let me.
6 p.m.
Yep.
So for those of you who are watching, that is our honoree of our teachers.
Yeah, I have 5. It starts for me,
Okay,
but I'm not
5
sure what
o'clock.
time.
Cocktail hours at 5?
That's right.
Okay, very good. Public comment? Seeing none, we'll move right on. Staff and board, our business manager.
Good morning, Mary Ann Monis. Since most of my material applies to budgets, I'd like to hold my budget comments for the budget workshop. But I did want to bring something to the board that we did receive our ACE funding for the Oasis High School.
Sweet.
And I would like to proudly announce that they have exceeded their expectations, and their funding came in at $639,000.
Wow.
We initially budgeted $429,000, so I'm not going to take Shannon's hurrah away, but would just like to make you aware that we
So
did
say that
receive that
again.
funding.
We budgeted for
We
what?
budgeted $429,000, and
Okay.
it came in at $639,000.
Excellent. Well
Excellent.
done. Well done,
That's
thank you,
it.
Mary Ann.
Now pick up budget stuff at the workshop.
Very good, thank
Thank you.
you. Our Director of Procurement, Danielle.
Good morning, Danielle Jensen, Director of Procurement and Food Service. Starting with food service as a department through February, food service continues to be favorable, have a favorable profit margin. Both revenue and expenses are favorable to budget, and we feel confident that we're going to end the year at budget. We also did the April National School Lunch Collection data. That deadline was last week, and we completed and submitted that in time, so we're in compliance with that. And we will start preparing for our Wellness Committee meeting next month, and I will be discussing my department's budget in a little bit. As far as procurement, we started with our new landscapers in March, and we feel we're off to a good start. We were happy with the work that both of them had done at both campuses. I've also been busy with next year's budget, working with different people trying to get quotes, working on the IT infrastructure project and the $100,000 project list that we have for the city. As far as the IT infrastructure project, we have the initial meeting with the RFP. I'm going to be doing a meeting today with some people to modify that. It needs to go out to the public by next week, so we can make our tight time frame of having it ready to go, the project up and running so that it will be completed by the time school starts. Any questions?
Questions? Thank you for all your hard work.
You're welcome.
Okay. Miss Jackie, Krista McCullough.
Good morning, everyone. Jackie Collins, Krista McCullough. Right now at CME, we are wrapped up in testing. We're testing grades 3, 4, and 5. Grade 5 is doing their math and language arts tests on the computers. You know, it can be kind of challenging when you have 10-year-olds working on a computer, getting ready to get set up, waiting for the, okay, you can go now, and you know, they press the button beforehand, and then we have to, you know, start over. Yesterday we had somebody, we were just getting ready to begin in 5th grade, and they threw up. So we had to take everybody out and get everybody back in. But besides those little minor glitches, which always happens, it's going very well. Tests, you know, seem to be fair. You know, some students get done 20 minutes in, some students take the entire 80 minutes, but it looks like it's going very well. Let's see. Also, we are working on the accreditation process. We're working on our presentations now that we are going to be giving to the board. We're wrapping up our evidence collection, which was pretty significant, took quite a bit of time. Let's see. And we're working on position openings for next year. Now's the time where we send out our intent forms to find out who wants to come back, who wants to change position, who might not be coming back, who wants to switch from one school in our system to the next. So once we get all those back, they're due on Friday for me, I can start figuring out who I can move where, and then begin, you know, to look to see about putting applications on the website. And that's pretty much it.
Any questions? Very good,
Good,
thank you,
thank you.
Jackie. And do we have?
Maybe late, so.
Okay, we'll skip Mr. Hook and go right to our middle school.
Good morning, Keith Graham, principal at the middle school. Quick and easy today. We also began our FSA testing yesterday, and things were okay. Had a few minor glitches with some students getting knocked off of the system, but that's just because of the flooding that takes place during testing season. But everything's so far so good today. Our Oasis STEM Tour teams took second and third place finishes in their Solar RC car competition that was held at Florida Gulf Coast University on the 2nd. That was their last competition for the year. And they've been competing against more than 30 middle schools across the counties, Lee and Collier. Our 8th grade team came home with a first place win overall for the year, and the 7th grade team placed third overall for the year. So congratulations to those folks, and Miss McLean, who is clutching onto her trophies in her room. So she's very proud of those kids, and they do a fantastic job. Invite you to the presentation of The Lion King Jr. That's going to be April the 29th and the 30th at Cultural Park Theater beginning at 7 o'clock. Mrs. Omenson is still working with our kids and getting that all set up and ready to go. That's about it. That's all I have. Hope everybody had a good spring break. Any questions?
Any questions? Very good, thank you. Oh, sorry, Rob.
Mr. Graham? I'm sorry. I know you're trying to get out of here, and I know everyone's trying to keep it safe. We've got Mr. Nowicki moving to the high school, I believe, next year.
That's the plan. Yep.
So I guess when do we start looking for our next technology guy?
We already have, and I already have one that looks pretty good.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that's part of the budget workshop we'll be talking about, and all the fun things that need to take place beforehand. But yeah, we have it posted.
One more question. With the technology guy, one of the questions that I had looking at this was, is that enough? I mean, because I know is it true that you were kind of like splitting him around with the STEM and the other support areas of the classrooms?
It's never going to be enough. The best technology is a half credit requirement for all middle school kids to move on to high school as part of the 12 and a half total that they need. So the best way to get that credit to everybody is to assign him to a grade level, which is what we currently have had. So all kids in 7th grade will eventually have the technology class that he's offering, but he's also offering the STEM sections, their STEM technology piece that they need for the STEM requirements. So busy person, when we do the scheduling, he's working with those STEM sections or kids for the year, and then the other kids as a semester elective class.
So in looking at going forward, and I know we'll probably talk about this in budgeting, but in looking going forward, do you feel that that's adequate? Is it stretched too far? I know obviously the STEM program is doing awesome.
Yeah.
Are we in any way not provide? Is the resources enough to go where we want to go? Obviously, it's going well, but as far as going forward, what do you
It's
see
stretched
that way?
thin, in my opinion. Are we meeting their expectations? And yeah, we're meeting them. And that just goes to the teacher. I mean, Mr. Nowicki's a fantastic teacher, and he's doing everything he's doing with what he has, with what we can offer him. And that's what we have. To go anything more would require a whole nother room to the building, because we are at max. We're out. We're done. We're full. With the engineering teacher that we're looking to bring in to accommodate the engineering piece to STEM, to accommodate the additions, that's bursting the seams too. So yeah, I think we are meeting. I think Mr. Nowicki is up to the curriculum, but it's up to those STEM teachers as well, and they do a fantastic job with incorporating technology and other things into other curriculums through project-based and through other things that they do, and the STEM tour teams and other things that we provide as a school. I think we're doing a pretty good job meeting expectations, and can't make everybody happy. I'm not going to, but
Well, I guess obviously we're doing extremely well,
Mm-hmm.
and with changes, that's always a little concerning. Although I know there's opportunities and people need to look at those. But going forward and looking at the application of technology as it relates to the whole STEM program, I just want to make sure that we structure that so that we're not cutting that
Right.
that skill set so
Right.
slim that everybody's getting a little bit and just barely enough
to do what they need to do, as
Right.
opposed to looking at, how the program will be going forward and how we can actually take it even up further.
Yeah.
If that would be, in other words, we're stopped where we're at with what the resources we have right there, right
Right.
now. And now we got, obviously somebody new coming in the program, and we'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah, the person I mentioned is, Mr. Nowicki is doing an outstanding job too, hunting down some buddies that he's got. So he wants to really continue the TSA. So the person that he recommended that I've talked to and kind of explained some things to is very deep with the TSA. So he's going to, if it's accepted, that he will do a good job. I also wanted to add too, just on to what you were saying, that our technology and our IT folks and other folks across the system have been sitting together pretty much since the beginning of the year to take a look at those standards in technology and to streamline them from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. They've been very scattered in the past, and so you have kids coming into that technology class at various levels of knowledge. So what they've been doing is just sort of streamlining, like I said, and getting more of a stronger curriculum as far as the standards go as to what's attainable and reachable for each grade level, so that in the years to come, we know what's coming in 7th grade, or even middle school for that matter, as to what skill sets they have coming in, so that we can then continue on and get them ready for the next level. So they've been meeting, and they're pretty much ready to go with those. We're going to take a look at them and see what we can do to begin implementation. So that's another piece that's going to be added to the whole technology piece as a system.
Good, thank you.
Thank you, Keith.
Light on too.
Sorry,
But that's okay. This isn't a question. I was actually going to wait until board comments, but because we're talking already about Mr. Nowicki, I just want to give a shout out to him. I mean, he's just wonderful. He is the type of teacher who is not only excellent in his craft, but the students just adore him. He is a wonderful mentor. And my son, who is now leaving STEM, I'm very sad about that, he wasn't sure he wanted to go to Oasis High School until he found out Mr. Nowicki was going there. And now that's probably where he's going to go. So I just want to acknowledge him.
I'll be sure to pass that along. Yeah, he's. I wasn't holding back anything when I told him he was going to leave me a crater to fill, but he's doing a good job with helping me out. So yeah, I'll pass that on.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, moving on to our high school.
Good morning.
Morning.
So I didn't get the short memo until it was too late, so I apologize in advance because I'm super excited because I do have some guests here to speak with you today. And I'm going to begin my presentation just sharing with you briefly. Mr. Graham also joined myself, Ms. Tutterow, Ms. Sanford, Ms. Perfidio, and Ms. McLean on a journey to San Diego to visit a system of schools that I honestly believe Oasis has the potential to shift into, the successes that they are seeing at their facilities. And it was pretty exciting for me. It was almost like seeing a rock star. I'm a pretty big fan of George Clooney. And so I almost felt like I was meeting George Clooney. As soon as we got on the ground, I was like, I got to go find these schools. And so we immediately took a trek off. And I have to admit, I was a little jealous because Keith made it inside one of the buildings before I did. And I'm like, how did he get into the building? This is my school, my visit. But it was exciting because we were able to see a lot of the things we read about and we hear about and all of these incredible things that are happening. But sometimes it's very hard to put it all together without seeing it. And so I think it was an incredible journey for us to be able to travel there, see firsthand what does project-based learning really truly look like when it is done effectively and the training has happened to train the teachers to effectively to deliver those systems. And also really the integration of, I refer to it as a STEAM. So I'm a big STEAM person. I feel like the arts are very important in that process as well. So I think the science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics are where it's at, that it takes all of them really working cohesively. So you'll probably hear me refer to it as STEAM as opposed to STEM, but it's really the same concept, just with that arts integration. And I did bring back, and I'm sure that none of you will really want to read this because you probably have lots and lots of things to do, but if you were interested in seeing what some of the sessions look like that we were attending, I did bring one of the books, and it does have the different sessions, and we all kind of broke out and went to different areas. But I think probably for us, really the neatest experience was to really be able to talk to students on the ground and hear from them a lot of the things that we all know, and it was just validation for the work that we're doing and the shifts that we're really trying to make to really integrate STEAM into our curriculum, cross-curricular, not just in isolated periods when the bell rings, you go to STEAM or technology or engineering. We want those things to really be embedded in all of their coursework because really that's where the meaning is. I think the other critical piece for us to really take a look at is the shift into the skill sets. Education tends to have a pendulum that will swing all the way over here for this assessment-driven data, and everybody has to, take this test and this end of course, and where we perform matters, and it really does matter, but then we have a tendency to forget about communication skills, collaborative skills, resume writing, lots of different types of writing. And so we got to see that in action here as well, why it's important that academics and skill sets go together, that standards are certainly important. That's what we by law legally have to deliver. But there's also another side of this for students, that if we really want to produce the best next generation student for society, then we can't forget about really integrating communication skills, collaborative skills, critical thinking skills, all of those pieces that go beyond just academic content. So with that, I'm going to be quiet because they're going to be able to share with you a lot more from the trenches than I can, because these are some students who have been a part of the internship program that I came to you all early in the year and asked for grace to begin. And Miss Kanaki is joining us as well, and she is the teacher of this program, and she really has been the workhorse getting all of the paperwork done, making the connections, having the meetings with our community folks, and really building those opportunities for our students. So I'm going to actually turn it over to Miss Kanaki. She has been excellent, but for her to speak a little bit about what that looked like for us, and then I would love for the students to be able to share a bit with you about their own personal experiences, if that's okay.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Catherine Kanaki, and as Ms. Tree said, I'm the internship teacher for these wonderful students. And I wanted to first thank you for letting us have the time to speak a few minutes this morning. When Ms. Treese approached me about this opportunity over the summer, it just took the first 60 seconds, and I was on board with what she was saying. It's a great opportunity. When I was in high school, I can imagine what a great opportunity it would have been then, and I know now for these students the value that it's adding, the added value to their education and to their life, their future. Ms. Treese's passion and excitement from the beginning really helped kind of kickstart things, and we didn't really have a plan in the beginning, but it's, as time has gone by, things have kind of worked themselves out, and her outside the box thinking and flexibility has really helped us kind of work through some situations as we've been setting up these internships, and from semester 1 to semester 2, we've grown the program. Our primary goal is securing internships for these students that align with their career and college and career goals. So if they are interested in a particular field, then my job is to try to find them placement so they can get a feel for what exactly goes into that field. We place the students for 6 to 9 weeks. Ideally in the fields, and they have a mentor that's willing to take them under their wing and kind of guide them and show them the ins and outs of that field, the good, the bad, the ugly, the pretty, all the good, all the stuff that they might not know just from reading about it or studying about it. So I think it's been a really great opportunity for these kids to just see firsthand what it's like in the business world. When I asked for volunteers from the students today, or actually last week, to come visit, these 4 students all were eager to come and share their stories. I think they're very, they email me all the time. They're like, last night was awesome. They're like, I had so much fun at a game, or I learned this at the doctor's office, or they love to share their experiences with me, and now they get the opportunity to share it all with you. And we're still looking for community members to get involved, and Mr. Stevenson was very helpful when he was involved in the Cape Coral Leadership Program. I actually got a lot of people on board through that. I presented one at a luncheon, And I had people emailing me and calling me and saying, hey, I want to, get involved in this. I have a lady at CCCIA, and she wants to put together an education foundation, and really, she just really believes in the opportunities that this is going to provide for the kids. So people are very passionate when I approach business leaders. They're like, gosh, I wish this really existed when I was in school, and I wish I would have had this. So the feedback has been really, really great. And then I also got an insight yesterday. I called their parents just to let them know they were going to be off campus and coming here to speak briefly. And the parent support and how informed they were. The moms were telling me about, oh, so-and-so loved this experience, and he's really having a great time, and we're so grateful. So the parent support is there and involvement. And the only thing, one recommendation the parent had, she said, I wish that my son would have been able to start this in 9th grade. So that was kind of a big credit to the program. But anyway, on that note, I'm going to go ahead and let the students come and tell you firsthand about what they've been doing. The first student that's going to speak is Zach Leva. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Zachary Leva, on behalf of our internship program from Oasis High School. Ever since I was young, I've always wanted to be a doctor. I had everything. I wanted to be a doctor. I was mindset. I put hours and hours and hours of research into it, and I just had the wonderful experience to actually try it out in our internship. I had the chance to work with Dr. Zivkovic, his wife, awesome woman, great philosophy of how she takes care of her patients, and just a small practice, awesome. The experience at the office, I saw a lot of things, and it was awesome. It was awesome to experience, but I actually realized it wasn't for me. I realized that it really wasn't for me, and I don't know, it was just like I didn't want to do this. Although all the hours of research into it and everything. And then the last quarter, fourth quarter, I actually just started a law enforcement internship, which was always a backfall for me. And I have the chance I've already explored the police headquarters. I've seen a lot, and it's amazing. And now that I'm in that, now I'm like, I really like this. So it just gives you the power to try things before you buy. Always try before you buy. Or you're just going to waste a lot of money going to med school, going to do this, and then you're finally in the practice, and you're like, I can't do this. And then you have to change majors. And anyway, you always have to love what you do, or there's really no point. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very wise.
Hello, I'm John Pellett, a senior at Oasis High School also, and I had the pleasure of interning at Goldberg Law Office in Fort Myers. And much like Zach, I've always wanted to be a lawyer since I was younger, and we got to see all aspects of the job, really, from running back and forth from the courthouse to seeing actual court hearings and doing office work, filing paperwork, and all that. I'm still on the fence about what I want to do when I get older, even after that internship. For the fourth quarter, I'll currently be pursuing an internship in construction management, and we'll see how that goes. It's a great program, just the out-of-classroom experience that you get, and really getting to see what the job is like before you go to college and you sign up for classes and pay money for something that you might not even want to do. It's a great experience, and I hope that the future seniors next year will be able to do the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Spencer LeBlanc, and a senior at Oasis High School, and I intern at a Venture Church on Del Prado. It's a small church, about 800 people on a weekend. All throughout high school from freshman year, I knew I wanted to get in some kind of nonprofit leadership, something around that area, but I had no idea where can I narrow this in, where are my passions, what can I get into? And through this internship program, I got to see firsthand, what is this whole thing about? I'm learning a lot of things about office, how like office, what's appropriate in office, what's not appropriate. I'm learning about communication skills, like something you can't really learn that much in a classroom. You can learn in a textbook, you can learn about it online, but you can't see until you see it firsthand. You're seeing other people communicate in an office. You're seeing how to act professional within this office. And throughout it, I've learned so much about it. Other things, you can see what through the textbooks is saying do this and this. And as I said before, I wasn't sure of what I wanted to do from the church standpoint, but now through this, I'm almost 100% sure that I want to pursue a career as a youth pastor and continue on with that. Thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jeff Myers. I've been to Oasis and I've been through the elementary and middle school throughout basically my whole life. And I have always been a huge sports guy. I'm always into mainly football. I've always had a passion. My dad introduced it to me, and that's what I wanted to go into. And I figured out that I don't really have the skill set to make it to the professional level as an athlete. So I decided that I want to do this as a career. So when Ms. Kanaki and Ms. Treese approached me and my mother about this internship program, I thought this is a perfect opportunity. So I took the opportunity and I gracefully and thankfully got the opportunity to intern for the Florida Everblades at Germain Arena. You learn a lot through it. There's a lot that goes on within the game, and it's a lot of stress control. It's a lot of time management. It's a lot of, if you're not precise, then you gotta do it right. And you just think that like, wow, they just must come to the arena, get ready for the game. But they really don't. The interns, because there's not just me, it wasn't just me on this, there's actually a whole core of interns that actually go there. So with those interns, we all have to make sure that the mascot, Swampy, is all ready, the locker room is set, even the on-ice and off-ice officials' locker rooms are set, that all the giveaways are ready, everything like that. I got to meet all the players, I got to meet all the coaches. I loved this experience, and I can proudly and honestly say that through Oasis and the internship program, it has really benefited me, because now I know for sure that I want to pursue my dream career and go into college to pursue my dream as a sports agent. Thank you for your time.
Very good, thank you.
I appreciate you all for coming to share. I know it's a little nerve-wracking to present in this type of atmosphere, but it's good for you. It's another skill, presentation, speaking skill, that I'm not the best at. I should have had a little more practice probably in school. But I do want you to hear from time to time from students, because I can tell you it's going well, and I can tell you that it's beneficial and it's an added benefit. It really is just another layer and another way that we can meet student needs. It may not be for every student. I would say that it is a great opportunity for every student, just in that it will give them the opportunity to really validate where is it that I think that I want to go, or confirm that this really isn't the direction that I really want to head before they spend lots of money or time at the collegiate or post-secondary level, depending on what their track is. But again, I appreciate you all for presenting. We do like them, our goal is to have them do 2 internships, but I did have a student, actually Spencer, presented the reasons why he felt like he should remain in his particular internship, and I did grant him that opportunity. But what we have said to them is we really want them to try a couple different roles, unless they have some really striking evidence as to why they should stay. And he had some great evidence that he presented, and so we allowed him to stay in his position. But our goal is to, for next year, find a way for every senior to have this experience. We just did a pilot group this year, but the feedback has really been positive and encouraging. And so again, it's one of those pieces that we've got to figure out where it fits and how it works and how can we tie it into the academic standards. But that is really what we're working on at this point with schedule. So The last thing that I will mention, and then I will get out of the way, JROTC has a few students that I would really like to mention because it really is an honor. We have 3 students who have been selected to attend summer academies, and my understanding is that is pretty rare for a school to have 3 students who make it to that status. So those students are Mary Hess, Bryce Corcoran, and Brandon Pearson, and all 3 of them will be attending a summer military academy. The JROTC is hosting a cultural night at our school on the 3rd. We are doing that in conjunction, we felt like, with the Advanced Ed Visit. That would be a great opportunity to showcase our student talents. So that is happening on, did I say March? That would be May the 3rd. And then they have a 5K race scheduled for April the 23rd as well. So just a little recognition there for our JROTC students.
Don't go anywhere. We have a few comments. I'd like to make a comment. Having been a career educator, I am so glad to see what's going on. And in Dade County, we had what was called the In-School Chamber of Commerce. And it started from elementary, middle, it was all the way through. So perhaps in the future, we can work on doing an in-school Chamber of Commerce, which is exactly that, is giving kids opportunities, skill opportunities, lifelong opportunities. So I'm thrilled to death to see this happening, and I challenge the middle school and the elementary schools to step up to the plate also. It's never too young to start learning about careers, because we all do that on Career Day, right?
Absolutely.
So thank you, and we have a comment from this way. Mr. How do you say your name?
Kepke.
Kepke.
Yes, Kepke.
Kepke.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I just want to say all 4 of you guys should be commended. You are all very intelligent young men. You presented yourselves so perfectly well up here. I know it can't be easy for you. Public speaking is not an easy thing. It was either Zach or John who had mentioned try it before you buy it, or try it before. I'll tell you, take it from a man who spent $20,000 for his journalism degree, only to find out he didn't want that, and spent 4 or 5 times that to get his marketing education. This is a fantastic program, and I think we should be able to try to expand it, at least maintain it. This is fantastic, and that's all I want to say. Congratulations, guys. You're way ahead of the game.
Mr. Winstead.
I too want to echo some of that. I've spent a lot of time at 2 small colleges as a director of admissions and consulting with many business owners and a lot of folks like that. And many times in education, which is very important, we get focused on providing the results that the criteria, the legal criteria is. But I think what we owe it to students to be as effective as we can in being able to give them a real opportunity for education and to find out where they want to go. And I think today, probably more than ever, with the challenges and the changes in opportunities and also in education in general, this kind of program is awesome. I would love to see every student in this, because like echoing what was mentioned down there, I see so many people that have come back to school to learn a career that they really wanted to learn. They thought that it was a good idea to go in this direction. Everybody told them that was a great deal, but they had no practical or real experience. That's one thing I told many of the students that I've worked with that were going in the college level. Look, how many people have you talked to that are actually in this career? Go spend it. If it's free, even as an adult, if you have to work part-time somewhere to get that experience, to find out what the reality is before you invest that much in your life, this is the way to do it. And I think that as an educational institution, helping people look at and define certain careers and directions in our lives, that this is a critical piece. So I applaud what you guys have done, and I think that whatever we can do to expand that type of opportunity would be a great investment for us, because it's already sounded like it's paid off for you guys. You guys got a much clearer view of who you are in that. The only thing I might caution is things do change a little bit, and the realities or the experiences, I was thinking very much on the medical side and the police side. Well, quite frankly, in the medical side, especially in a medical practice, it's not always too exciting. So it could seem rather boring at that level, I would imagine, for some folks. And the police work seems pretty exciting. And so you do get, that excitement. So temper that a little bit in the final decision, but I think to know what your motivated interests are and getting some experience to support those motivated interests will make an incredible difference in your bigger decision process making. So that's a great program. I'm glad to hear that that's going so well, and I'd love to see everybody in high school go through that. Thank you.
We have actually, even though we can't get all the students out, we've tried to be very much more intentional about bringing in guest speakers, and Ms. Downs has done a great job getting some speakers in. We had a neurologist in, she's had a psychologist, she's had fire, emergency personnel. She's really done a great job of getting folks in. So we're trying to find other venues, even if they can't go do a formal internship, just exposing them to what's available and what's out there beyond.
And another thing is try to talk, if you're looking at a particular field, try to talk to a few people in that field, not just one if you can, because people have different perspectives, they have different personalities, they like things. One might be more like yourself, whereas someone else is very different. So you can't just go with what one person in the field says. They have different experience, they're different places. You talk to a doctor in a normal family practice, and you talk to an emergency room physician, you're going to get very different perspectives of what the medical field, a radiologist, it goes on and on. So you want to get as much information as you can from people that are experienced in it, and ask a lot of questions, and ask them based on who you know you are to be and what you're looking for. And it'll really help fill in some of the blanks. But that's great, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lucas Ross?
Is resume development and critique a required part of this?
It is. We actually are, what we did, because we did sort of back into this once the school year started and we heard the needs from students, because really part of this evolved because we are small and we can't offer every elective. And so what I kept hearing from students is, we want more, we want to be able to do this, and so this was sort of a yes and yes if answer. We can't offer everything, but we can maybe find a different way to offer opportunities to expose students to what it is that their interests lie, their passion. I think we all have to find our passion, and it isn't any different for us than it is for students. And so some of it just evolved as we were moving. And before they could actually go intern, we sat down, Ms. Kanaki and I, to be honest, and just sort of brainstormed. What do we want them to really know and be able to do before they exit? What communication skills, resume writing, interviewing, so they could tell you better on all the specifics. But we did outline, and once we sort of had, these are the minimal, I just said, run with it. Figure out what works, figure out what doesn't. Our goal for next year is to really look at the senior English. And is there a way, because I think I can say this and be brutally honest, they're seniors, so they could say pretty much after Christmas, they're checking out on me. Mentally, they're moving on. They know. I mean, it's just natural. We've all been there. So our conversation has been, how can we really utilize the time we have with seniors, and maybe that first half of the year, we really focus on meeting the standards that they're required to meet in English 4, and what that looks like. And maybe that becomes somewhat of a motivation to show that you've mastered the standards that you need to master, and then you're able to go and do your internship. And part of the standards in the English language arts portion really evolve around resume writing. Communication is built in at every single level, but those are those skills that we're having to go back and really emphasize where we want to strategically place them and intentionally deliver. Because we have a lot of conversations, I've had a lot of conversations with students around what is it that you need, and we keep coming back to even note-taking. Teachers will say to me, well, they don't even know how to take notes. And so my response is, well, when did we teach them? We can't just expect them to do it if we haven't taken the time to strategically make sure that these are some different note-taking strategies that you can utilize. And so we're really looking at the freshman year, building in a time where that can happen, and maybe once they master the skills, then they can exit and go to an elective. Once they've shown mastery, I think we're kind of at the same juncture even with the seniors. Let's figure out what we need in that first semester, and then let's give them the opportunity to get out and use that internship for the second maybe part of that year. And none of this is in stone. This truly is, we're brainstorming to try to really figure out how can we best utilize their minutes that we have with us, because we're so limited. We really are. I mean, it goes by in a blink of an eye. We're in April, it's almost May. They're almost finished. And so we really had to throw some things together pretty quickly in that very first 9 weeks to get the groundwork laid to really even pilot the program. So I know we're going to be asking students for input as well on how can we make sure that you're leaving with the skills that you absolutely have to have when you exit this building.
Very good. Rob?
I just wanted, I'm glad that you guys had a chance to get out and see the real world and what things are really like, because it's going to clear up a lot of things, some things that we read and watch on TV, there's a lot of editing done when you look at it through somebody else's eyes. And my question was, Are the guidance counselors involved in this process at all? In
Yes.
a way? Okay. In what way?
They, honestly, early on, were pretty critical in helping us figure out how to make this work in the schedule, because this was something, again, that, I mean, we were already here, the schedule was set. And so they really were an integral piece early on in trying to figure out how to make it work in the schedule, and then helping us identify students who would benefit from this particular program. And they honestly do a lot of the legwork, as well as Catherine. It's something that I said, here's really what I envision, here's what I would like for students, now you all make it happen. And so she and Ms. Tutterow, because Ms. Tutterow is assigned to seniors, sit down, like I know with Jeff specifically, there was some moving of classes and things that had to happen, but we were able to make that work so that he was able to participate in the internship.
And when I hope when the guidance counselors, or when you guys are looking at this, we're looking at, obviously we have highly motivated students that want to do this, but we might have students that aren't as motivated who would be more motivated when they see real world applications. Are we looking at that aspect?
Yes, sir. We actually, I would venture to say, probably have at least 10 or 12 of those, and maybe even more. I can think of mentally probably 10 or 12 students that it has made a difference for, and that
Perfect.
Not having a lot of direction, you know, what are some opportunities? And those are valuable as well, because many of those students may not even have a starting point. And so we just say, well, here's where you're going to start, and then from here we'll take feedback on, you know, which direction. But yes.
Great job. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Captain Hook. Mr. Hook? Steve?
Good morning, Steve Hook, Oasis Elementary. We are in the midst of testing, as I'm sure Jackie already said. Our OM team went to state and performed very well this past weekend. The rally did well, not as, I'm the eternal optimist, so I always want it to be a little better than it is, but I think the least amount any school makes about $12,000. The foundation's going to make about 14, I believe. So overall, a good day, a good day's work, and appreciate the support of that. I was thinking of, Mr. Graham and I were thinking of interning a college official, because I already have seeing eyeglasses, so I could be right along there with you, Mr. Zukovic. That's about it. I'm going to keep my report short.
Thank you.
I'm just going to add quickly that Mr. Hook was able to stay on the bull for about 14 seconds. And I do have video proof if anyone would like to see it.
Okay. Moving right along. Unfinished business, strategic plan, Mr. Stevenson.
I just wanted to thank Ms. Kanaki and the vision of Ms. Treese to get here. I'm proud to say that Ms. Kanaki used to work with me before she was a dean at one of the high schools I was at, so she was an excellent find for our system, and very glad she's here. And as you can see, those students are absolutely amazing. I did want to kind of give a cryptic thank you, and I can't explain why, but I can later, to Mr. Steve Pullman in Parks and Recreation. He gave us a big help for our system and saved us a little bit of money. So I just want to thank him publicly for assisting us in a venture that we needed help on. The strategic plan, as I sent emails to you all, strategic plans are sometimes in some organizations done and then put away on a shelf, and then we say, well, we've completed the project and now we're good to go. Well, ours is a living document. So for those new here, especially on the board, we're going to continue to talk about the strategic plan even until we revisit it again. What I wanted to let you know is on page 10 of the strategic plan, we identified several goals, one of which was the technology infrastructure. And I have sent you the timeline, so I'm not going to go through it, but it's a huge undertaking. That's at the last board meeting. We took $450,000 to do that. There is such a team of people, and again, I also need to thank the city IT director and Mr. Carrington also for assisting us in getting where we need to be with this infrastructure update. I think we're really on track. Danielle's done a lot of work with this. Todd Baldwin's done a lot of work with this, and our IT guy, Steve Burley, and all the others as well. So I think we're on track to get this done for the summer, which is going to be huge, because without this infrastructure, all this other stuff that we talk about, it doesn't matter. So it's very important. Another area that was identified in the strategic plan and that we're going to bring to you today is the expansion of Krista McAuliffe. We have slotted $500,000 away towards that expansion. That was done with our strategic plan in mind. Priority 5, the enhanced financial stability, relates to basically doing the budget workshop the way we're going to do it. So when we start the budget workshop, I'll talk about how we got there and how we're doing it. But I believe specifically to the strategic plan, that's why we're doing that. Priority goal number 7, technology and the infrastructure. We're looking at the upgrading. We've placed $50,000 per school away. We'll talk about it in the budget part as well. And meeting with the principals, they had a great point that perhaps we should look at the training and the professional development that go along with it as well, not just the infrastructure piece. So again, we're keeping on that. And then on priority goal number 8, which is a highly qualified staff, we looked at attract, hire, retain highly qualified individuals. Well, that's the pay plan. So as we look at that too as well. So again, I wanted you to see that this is going to be a living document. We'll consistently move forward with this, and you will continue to get reports on this. We'll probably add under this section as well a Neola section, and I think that'll be good practice as we continue. So we'll always have Neola and Neola and the strategic plan put together so that it will continue and it won't just sit on a shelf. So that's the update that I have for you on that.
Excellent, thank you. Any questions? Very good, thank you. Moving right along to new business, approval of the engagement letter for the charter school financial audit, 2016 through 2018. Ms. Krim.
Wow, Nelson's really tall. Hi, I'm Margaret Krim. I'm the city auditor for the city of Cape Coral, and what I'm bringing to you for your approval today is the new engagement letter with Clifton Larson Allen for your financial audit for the next 3 years. And what we've done in the past is we go out for bid to get a proposal, and we combine this with the city's financial audit, so we get sort of more synergy and we get better pricing. And we do that we did it 5 years ago. 5 years ago, we got Clifton Larson Allen at that time, and we contracted with them for 3 years, and they had 2 one-year options for renewal, and we did renew those, that contract for 2 more years. So they have been auditing us now for 5 years, both the city and the charter school. And we have now gone through a new bidding process. We received bids from 5 firms during the past few months. The audit committee for the city reviewed those as a selection advisory committee. They narrowed the field down based on qualifications and experience and the other factors that are measured, not on price. After a ranking was determined, then the price was considered, and that was factored in. And the selection that they chose again was Clifton Larson Allen again. They really did stand out as the best candidate for the city and also for the charter school. They gave us a proposal, and in your documents you have a little spreadsheet that has some numbers on it. And the first line shows what they proposed. And for all 3 years, they proposed a commitment for $48,750. Based on negotiations that the city's procurement staff and I had with them, they lowered their proposal for you to $42,750 for the 3-year commitment, which was a very positive movement on their part, and I think reflects their experience with you and their knowledge of your systems already. And that was, we took that as a very cooperative working arrangement and working relationship that the school and the city has with them. Actually, they lowered yours on a percentage basis much more than the city's. Also, for the past 3 years or 5 years, you've been paying $15,000 a year. So this is a reduction even from your past costs. So So this is a commitment for 3 years for $42,750. Following that, we'll have 2 more one-year options for renewal, which would come back to you for approval in 2019 and 2020. It probably won't be me bringing those to you, but you'll see them in those future years. So this is needing your vote and your approval, and I have a original blank copy here for your signature if you do approve it. I have a couple other things I can tell you about, but I don't know if you want to address this first or.
I think we'll go ahead. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Rob?
Just have a question. In terms of you went out for the RFP and you had other companies, why do we select Clifton Larson?
Well, the process that we go through is we rank them based on their technical qualifications, their staffing qualifications, their and I didn't bring all that with me, and I apologize for that. They understood the level, effort, and the hours. Yeah. The proposal that they put together, the methodology that they're going to use, the people they're going to assign to the engagement and their qualifications. So the selection is really based on skill set and knowledge, and they also are given some benefit for being a local firm. They did receive points for local preference, and that actually did make the difference in this case, just barely. I mean, the second ranked firm was not far behind them, but with the local preference, they really jumped out on top.
And in terms of cost, where did they fall in compared to the others?
They were not the lowest price, but they were very close to the lowest price. And with the reduction that they gave us, because of course we considered the original bid, which was the $48,000. So once they gave us once we negotiated down, they were right in line with the next level of cost.
Did we only negotiate with them, or did we negotiate with everybody?
No, the process is that the audit committee made a selection of the firm, and then they're all notified that we've selected a firm, and then we sat down with them and said, look, your costs were higher than the others, and we'd like you to consider sharpening your pencil a little and coming in line with the others, and they did.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Winstead.
Did they, other than a blanket price, do they break that out anymore? Do they give it like do we have any idea how many hours that are involved in this and what the per hour cost is?
We do know their estimated hours, and again, I didn't think to bring that. I apologize. It was actually they have the benefit really of the experience, so they know how many hours it's going to take.
Right.
And the hours that were included in their proposal were more hours than any of the other proposers. And I looked upon that as that, they know from their past experience the number of hours involved, and the others were, I felt, probably underestimating what it was going to take in hours.
Is this a fixed price situation?
Yes.
Not a projection?
It is a not-to-exceed price, and our experience with them has been that we've had these fixed-price engagements. They've never exceeded them. They've never, there's never been any question about billing more or above this. So this price will be something that you can budget for and count on as not to exceed.
I see the situation as a double-edged sword, probably mostly positive than negative. The positive side is obviously that they're familiar with our systems.
Right.
They're familiar with what's going on here, and probably to make adjustments are easier for them than someone coming new into it. The only question I would have, and I'm pretty comfortable myself with what I see here, the only question I might have is familiarity is a good thing on one side, but it also can, you see what you want to see because if you're used to seeing that. And so I'm wondering, do they have the same folks that would be doing this as have been on the case before doing the audits?
The engagement partner that will be on your engagement was the in charge that was on the city, that has been on the city's audit for the past 5 years. He's now at partner level with the firm, so he will be taking on the full responsibility of the charter school audit, and he will not be working on the city audit anymore. He's also moving in the firm into an area where he's becoming more specialized in school audits and in charter school engagements. So that's a good thing for us in that he'll be gaining, his area of expertise will be more specific to school financial situations. To your point about the longevity of the firm and not rotating a firm, that is something that we did discuss at the audit committee, and we are sensitive to. And that was something that we were thinking about for the city as well, because now Clifton Larson has been with us in the city for 5 years, and we're renewing them again. And there is this trade-off, as you just pointed out, a double-edged sword, where in our profession, independence is so critical, and ensuring that you have objectivity and you have fresh eyes and you have that new sense of looking at something.
Right.
That's an important quality. On the other side of it is the benefit of the efficiency and being able to do it quickly and having all the history already built in. One of the things we're seeing here is the first year is quite a bit lower in cost because they don't have to build that background that a new auditor coming in would have to put a lot of time into just building the background. One of the things that I did was look into some of the research in the field, and the AICPA and even legislation recently has gone on record to sort of express the opinion that you don't necessarily gain by rotating. So the idea of mandatory rotation that's been discussed at the federal level and also the state legislation level, and they have decided that the benefits are not conclusive. And they really don't feel that there is a lot gained from that, and that the other side, the benefits of the accumulated knowledge, is actually greater. So they've both the AICPA and the legislative bodies have not gone in that direction of mandating rotation. So
I can see what you're saying, and I can also probably agree that that's probably true. I think it puts a little bit more of a responsibility or burden upon both the city and the board to make sure
Right.
that we have eyes on that and make
Right.
sure that it doesn't become too easy to move forward and make sure they're doing that. But I can see where, from a financial standpoint, it would be beneficial because there's a lot less
Yeah.
startup work that's involved. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it passes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
I thought I might give you a little update. Nelson mentioned that he commented to you about some other work that we're going to be doing in the school system. We shifted our audit program timing a little bit, and we're going to move forward our staff with an internal audit of your internal funds. The reasons for the shift are that we were brought information that just said this is an area where there's some perceived risk, nothing unusual. Nothing alarming. But when we rank risk, we look at at areas and we calculate, and we do some calculation. Well, some of the information that came to us suggested that literally it came down to doing the school internal funds or doing records in the clerk's office, and there's so much involved in cash with the internal funds that it just elevated that as a choice for our resources over this other engagement. So we shifted. We've signed one of our staff members. We'll be having an entrance conference with Nelson and his teams next week. We have it scheduled for next week. There'll be a planning memo coming, and then we'll start that engagement. Now, the way an engagement works with us for an internal audit is we do a bit of background work, and we gather all the information that we can accumulate. Then we develop a scope and objectives. We sit down and have an entrance conference with your staff. We provide a planning memo which outlines the scope, the objectives, the background, the timing, who the personnel will be assigned to the job. And then we go into field work, and we do all of our testing, and we do all the field work. Then we have a field exit with your staff. There's never any surprises that come out of these. We communicate to them everything we've found. We go then into the reporting phase, and we develop a report, and eventually that report will come to you. I don't expect that to be completed until probably October, so don't look for it tomorrow. We're also moving into the summer months when, it's very slow for you, so that's another reason for the extended time. But we are working on that, and so you're getting some extra kinds of audit attention outside of this, and these will definitely be fresh eyes because the two staff members will be, the in-charge is Oscar Claudio, who has been auditing for probably 25 years and has been on our staff here for 4 years, and working with him will be Jessie Hahn, who's joined us in January. She worked for the Minnesota State Legislative Auditor's Office, and most recently for Iberia Bank, and so she has a lot of cash auditing knowledge, and she came to us in January. So they'll be working with Nelson and your team, and you'll eventually get a report on that. Also, another thing that I've been working on is a special project that came to our attention as a special request, essentially, and we're reviewing some of your compensation practices regarding Family Medical Leave Act. You've heard about that before, and this is not an audit. We're just doing a review of some special situations there, but ultimately there will be a memo, and that will be coming to you. So that hopefully will be in the next month here, and in time for your renewing of contracts for next year, so that you could potentially incorporate some information into those contracts. That's pretty much it. That's all I have to report.
Very good. I think we're glad to hear that. It will be consistent then in all schools how money is handled.
Yeah. I think, some of these things, I listened to your principals speaking to you. Those are so exciting. The activities, they fulfill the purpose of what you're here for. They really speak to your mission. When you start to hear about some of these things that I'm talking to you about, it's sort of like this background infrastructure. It doesn't have the energy and the excitement of what we were listening to earlier. But I think I heard Nelson say recently that, and I agree with this, you've grown so rapidly, and with any organization, when you grow that quickly, the infrastructure that supports the organization in the form of systems and processes and financial organization and internal controls and all the things that give you comfort to know that your systems are running well. those have not received as much attention and effort to build. So some of this effort, this background effort, although it's not very exciting, it will help you, I think, once you sort of swallow that camel or that elephant, then you'll be ready for the next level of growth. So it's exciting, and thank you for approving the engagement letter. We'll move forward with that.
Thank you so much, appreciate that. Okay, moving along, approval of the JROTC annual EOY camping trip to Disney, April 28th, May 1st. Ms. Treese.
All right.
And
so-
while you're up there, you'll stay up for the second one, which is the approval of the JROTC State Drill event in Lakeland. You'll bring them both to us at the same time.
Yes, so they, it is what it states. It's the one is a camping trip to Disney. My understanding is that this is an annual event for them. The drill event, I just counted because there were 23 students that made it to the drill event, just to make sure I had a number for you there. So they will be traveling by bus to each of these events.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve
Second.
12B and 12C. Can we do it at the same time?
I second.
Okay, I didn't know if we wanted to vote on both at the same time or just make it quickly, but go ahead. We'll go ahead and vote this one in. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Next,
Thanks.
the drill event?
Okay.
Did we? Oh,
That was what my motion was.
I thought it was the camping. Okay, I'm
I
sorry.
motioned for both.
Okay.
Because,
So we did vote.
mean,
Okay,
yeah.
very good. We're done.
Okay.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, approval of Neola policies, Mr. Stevenson.
As you know, it's taken us a long time to get here, just as I talked about before with the strategic plan. It's been over a year and a half to get to where we are with our Neola policies. This is a living document. So approval of these at this point is only approving where we are started. Remember, these are just policies. The procedures are where the big work really starts, because actually putting these into some formalized process. So what I'm asking for is just approval of the changes that we've done on all those workshops, and that's what the website is. And then once we have that, we'll be able to actually start with our procedures part. Tom Young, our Neola advisor, is going to be working with me to develop procedures, so this isn't going to be done in a vacuum. And again, I think placing this on the agenda every time so that we continue to talk about it, we continue to do best practice and what's working and what's not in these policies is there. Why this is important now, we've got to this far, is also for advanced ed, because we've already clearly identified with advanced ed, and we were honest with them about it, that we don't really have these policies and procedures totally in place. We have some working knowledge and some working ideas of what we've done historically, but I believe it's important for at least us to address with advanced ed. We've adopted most of the procedures and, the policies, and now we'll be working towards the policies. Now, what I can also tell you is, just in the time of us doing this from our last workshop, there's already been about 15 or 20 changes in legislature, so that we'll still have to go back to some of these even at some point. So Tom, our Neola advisor, talks that we most likely will do that either next meeting or in June, depending on when he can schedule time with us. So we may end up, in other words, what I'm saying is we may this time only have to add it into our agenda, and we may talk through it instead of having a whole new Neola workshop. It'll just be bringing 4 or 5 policies. We'll talk through them beforehand. You'll have any questions, and then we can approve them then without formalizing a new process. So that's where we are. And there was a lot of work done by a lot of people. I mean, I have to give credit. When I got here, Steve and Kevin Brown had already been sitting in the office with computers and laptops all set up, and then everybody else throughout the process has been done. So there's a lot of people that have done a lot of work to get here.
Very good. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve 12D.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay. I don't think we brought up anything that we talked about. Is that on the, did I skip it? About us? Anybody want to, yeah, board comments, thank you. Am I reading that here, or am I not reading that here?
It's not on the agenda.
It's not on the agenda, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will open it up to board comments. Okay, Rob? Mr. Bustry, go ahead.
I just want to first welcome the new members, but also caution them that I don't want you to be unfriendly, but remember, you can't talk to the other board members outside of a board meeting because it's a violation of the sunshine law. I mean, you can talk to them about the weather, something like that, but you can't call up another board member and say, hey, what do you think about this idea? We're bringing it, and you can't do that. You have to bring everything forward at a board meeting. So just, that's a violation, and there are some consequences, and you will have to take a computer course to be certified as a board member, to give you some board training. Ms. Arthur will schedule that if she hasn't already. And if you have any legal questions, you can reach me at any time. And again, welcome aboard. And again, the big caution is the sunshine law violations. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Bustry. Rob?
Just a quick comment for us in terms, well, first, thank you guys all for what you're doing with the advanced ed. I know it's a lot of fun, mixed in with the testing and everything else you're doing already, but thank you all for moving that forward. We were supposed to, I believe, have our organizational meeting today, correct? After this, we discussed that.
Yeah, the budget workshop?
Well, we had the budget workshop, but the organizational meeting in terms of reappointing the chair and I know it's not on here. And it's not part of this meeting, it would be after this meeting, generally, because this is our first meeting with all the new board members.
Right.
But we don't have our chair here.
Right.
Mr. Bustry, any recommendations?
Yes, that's true. Usually April is the organizational meeting because that's to take into account the new board members to elect officers. Chair. So that probably should be scheduled next month. It could be part of the regular meeting. Probably should be the first thing item on the agenda for the May meeting to elect the new officers. Or
well, that organizational meeting is separate from the general meeting, isn't it? Or you can, I guess you could combine it.
You could combine. I mean, you could call into the organizational meeting at first. Or
okay.
I don't see why you couldn't. And until you have the organizational meeting, the officers would hold over until the change is made. But yes, it's usually done in April, but that should be the first thing probably on the agenda for the May meeting. It just takes a little while to accomplish that.
Right. Ms. Arthur, do we have any board members that are going to be out next month that you know of already, by any chance? Okay. So I guess I'll make a motion to add that to our meeting, the May meeting, that we have our organizational
Very good, thank you.
planning session.
Second? Yeah. Second? All in favor? Any discussion? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. All right, any other comments from the, I have Mr. Bustry, you have another comment?
No.
I guess I would like to just remind our new board members that we are policy makers and we don't deal directly with staff. All our relationships go through the superintendent. So I know it's difficult sometimes, the role that we're playing, if we're a parent or if we're emotionally attached, that we have to go through our superintendent, okay? So we don't want to micromanage. We don't want to get involved with teachers' lives that you do on a parent basis on your own time, but not through the board. All right, so just a reminder. Any other comments? Okay, then we will call this part of our meeting over. Time and day of the next meeting will be the Advanced Ed Exit Report, Wednesday, May 4th at 2 p.m. in the council chambers. Regular board meeting will be May 10th at 9 a.m., council chambers, and we will have a 20-minute, 15?
20, we need 20,
20-minute
10:45
recess, and then we will go for our budget workshop. Very good, thank you.
Thank you.